Talk 50 So talk 51 is where we will start.
Okay,
Right.
you're
So
going by T
yeah,
talks, is it? Okay.
but T51 I believe maps to day 10.
Okay, excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, day 9 ends with the last thing, which is basically bliss is what we are searching for,
Yeah.
and ananda and basically all the three prakriyas help us to understand what is that we should not be going after.
Yeah.
Yeah. So T51, in the talk 51, the discussion is on the ways we get to know things.
Yeah.
So there is paroksha,
Yeah.
which is belief. Uh,
Yeah.
like good example is God.
Yeah.
When people say like we have not, it's my belief that there is God because of the way things have been created for such a complex creation. There needs to be somebody, and our scriptures have said talked about different gods. So it's a belief because I have not seen, I have not experienced
Yeah.
God myself. So that is paroksha. And anumana is inference. A good example is the science, the way we do experiments. From the experiments, we say that okay, we infer based on this that it should be like this.
Mm.
And a good example, another good example given is the smoke. Right, when we see smoke, we can infer that there is fire because
Yeah.
we know that like the fire, that smoke comes from the fire. Though we have not seen, we don't need to necessarily see fire to believe, to know that there is fire, but we can infer, right? And pratyaksha is seeing, like direct. Uh, we see and then we know that there is. We hear there is no, and we come to know, right? Using our sense organs. And aparokshanubhuti is my own awareness. So the example given is like when you go to into a dark room, right? Uh, uh, somebody says that like there is a table and so we can use their knowledge to know that there is a table, right? And like they can ask if is there an elephant in the dark room, right? We will say that I don't know. So we because the sense organs are, we cannot use the sense organ, the eyes to see that, right? But if the question is or like are you there, that I don't need I don't need to believe that I am there. I don't need to infer that I am there. I don't need sense organs to realize that I am there. This is what we come to know that like the am I there question leads to like my own awareness, right? Independent of anything, and it's like self luminous, right?
Mm.
So this is the self knowledge, right? That is what is referred to as aprokshanabhuti, right? So now the question moves to like um,
So
uh,
before we jump,
mhm.
um, so in paroksha, so there is a belief. Now,
Yeah.
does it also involve faith? Is it just another level of the paroksha? Or as far as Vedanta is concerned, it is paroksha and aparoksha.
Um, yeah. So when we talk about Vedanta, um, so how do we come to know about something that we don't know, right? Uh, like for example, if I have to go to a destination, I don't know where the destination is. I don't know what I think about the destination is true or not because I have not seen it. So either I can rely on somebody who claims that like they've seen it and they can guide, or I can say, you know what, I'm not going to believe in anybody. If I have not seen it, it's not there, or I cannot comment and and like either I say that it's not there, or I say that I have not seen it, so I'm not going to comment on it, and like that doesn't lead to knowledge, right? From ignorance to knowledge, we need to rely on someone who claims to know it, and the only way we can follow that person to get the knowledge is by having faith, right? So the faith is like one level above the belief system, right? Because uh, the need for faith has to be there until we complete that path. If I don't have faith, if I keep doubting, the effort may not be 100%. It may stop at some point of time.
But would it be okay to say that even belief or faith begins with intuitive trust? There is an inherent trust that you feel with someone, you may not feel with another. So can you say that, yeah, there is paroksha, which is nothing but belief, or the next level, which is say faith, but it begins with an intuitive self-awareness. Is that the right way to use the aparoksha? Because sometimes we say, no, oh, intuitively I felt it. I feel it in my guts.
But aparoksha is again like a very clear awareness or like knowledge, right? Like for example, am I there? I don't have to believe someone, or I don't. I answer with 100% confidence that I am there. Right. So aparoksha is that strong. While paroksha, coming to paroksha, how do we go from what we cannot see to get that knowledge, right? So yeah, so maybe if the discussion is about uh, multiple religions each claiming, okay, and which one should follow, beyond going by the family or the birth, right? um, One is we look at we look at we can look at that system. We see how the masters have lived, right? And how I think any path is fine as long as it gives that uh, confidence from seeing at the masters who have set examples, right? uh, and it has to have and like going by that, and like you also start with the faith that people looks like people have seen it. Like for example, uh, Vivekananda asked Ramakrishna, right, have you seen God? He said like, yes, I have seen God. And somewhere like he felt that, okay, there you go, I'm going to rely on this answer and go on, right?
Sure. So let's hold on to that particular incident.
Uh-huh.
So have you seen God? That was a question. However, the answer is either, see, still it is not at a belief. Okay. And there is no particular inference because there is no reference to infer. Or Vivekananda hasn't yet seen. But the pointer I'm putting, or the question I'm putting is, in that moment, the conviction of Ramakrishna, did it inherently create an aparoksha anubhuti that there is no doubt anymore? Or let's take a slightly different example. A small baby has an inherent trust on the mother.
Yes, that is aparoksha.
So
I would say.
Now,
yes.
is there aparoksha that actually begins maybe then the faculty of the mind comes in?
Yeah.
The thinking faculty.
Yeah.
Then that starts messing up. Messing up as in starts asking the questions.
Yeah. But until the mind is developed, the baby has the aparoksha. Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's what I feel. That
aparoksha about I am existence of me, definitely. But there's an Aparoksha about trust, love. So there is something that is more inherent, fundamental, that enables it to trust the mother.
Mm.
Can we
Yes.
say that that is the aparoksha?
Maybe I can say that there is one difference as well. Uh, uh, when we bring in a baby, right? The baby has no thinking faculty right there. So, like there is no question of whether trust or not. It just it, like the system is developed in formed in such a way that here is you are born and just you rely completely on the mother. Um, there is no question. But aparoksha, when it comes to a grown up individual, I can use my mind even beyond the mind. It goes and says, yes, I am there. Even if I apply my mind, I'm still there, right? So there, without the presence of mind, the baby has the knowledge. Here, even with the mind, this is very strong. The answer is very strong. The awareness is very strong that I am there.
Yeah, in which case we can we not say that? See, paroksha, anumana, and pratyaksha is something that we develop over a period of time as the
Yes.
mind develops. Aparoksha is inherent.
Aparoksha is inherent. Correct. Yeah.
So which means that the sense of trust, the love, then those must be inherent.
Inherent. Yeah.
So if at all, for
Agree.
whatever reason, hypothetically, like in these special children, the mind is not, the thinking part of the mind is not developed. They continue to be very loving and trusting of people who come into their ambit. So the question again I'm raising is, then can we infer that aparoksha anubhuti, we are giving a word, or it is essentially an inner sense of the awareness, and connected to that there are some inner qualities which are also inherent, like trust. Because as long as it is, do I exist? Yeah, no questions, no problems, answers. Now, I see another object. From a purely thinking mind standpoint, I see another object. But for the little baby, there is no another object. It is part of me. So that's why there is an inherent trust. So is this line of reasoning, is this appropriate? Is this making sense?
Which again, can you repeat which line you?
Yeah. So aparoksha anubhuti here is I exist, no doubt. That's an intuitive understanding. I don't need any other external faculty for that. And now I trust. See, the moment I say I exist, okay, it's all about my own existence. But I trust is when there is something else.
Yeah.
I love is when something else. I care for, in some way, it is something else. So is it that actually in the beginning there is no such separateness, and only when the separateness develops, we need other ways, that is paroksha, anumana, and pratyaksha, to go back into that aparoksha.
Yes. Because aparoksha is with self, there is no other. While we are using paroksha, anumana, pratyaksha to know the other, which is not part of me.
Yeah.
Or like at that point of time, when I don't know that it's part of me, then like I want to use some ways to know, because it is outside me. If it is inside, if it is about me, inside me, there is no doubt. Yeah.
So can we also then say that, aparoksha is more like a no mind state?
Yeah. Okay. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It is. Even if even if so, uh, even without mind, but like yeah, this is something which I've been contemplating a lot. Any answer or any thinking uh, I have is always from the mind point of view, right? And it's I cannot have a thought uh, when the mind is alert. The only way, and if I go beyond mind, I don't think I will even realize or can have a dialogue like this that I am feeling, right. I cannot have that. So it is a so I don't know how to say this then. Um, Obviously it is uh, based on the scriptures. I can say that my awareness doesn't need my mind. But if I don't know, if I have not gone through the scriptures or the learning we are having, right, then like I always will say that like it is the mind that is going to think and say like, why is this question even coming? The mind will always come to claim that answer, I feel, right? But going by the scriptures, the answer is different, because we see a clear separation of the three layers: the self, mind, and then body, right? So the yeah, so that is how I will put it now, right now,
So
right?
essentially, we are saying that aparoksha anubhuti doesn't require any faculty,
Any faculty.
doesn't require any other either sense organs. So in other words, doesn't require body or the mind.
Even if you go and ask, think about it very well. I'm giving you enough time. Uh, Test it out. Do all the research and then answer me. Even if you apply the mind, the answer is not going to change.
Yeah.
Right. But can you answer in the absence of mind? That is where my point is, that like you can never get an answer. Or I'm asking you, is like, can we have any answer without mind? Because all the answers, all the interaction what we have, the mind is in the center stage, right? Because I keep telling this every day, the whole day, that I'm not this, I'm not the body, mind, intellect. And then I keep thinking, like, who is this I that is talking about? It has to be only the mind, right? Because the consciousness is not going to repeat again. The consciousness is not going to, it does not have to say this, right? It is just that from the mind point of view, I am telling this. But then, like, how can a mind say that I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, right? Because all when I'm reading, when I am telling myself as a consciousness awareness prayer every day, the question keeps coming to me. Okay, I'm telling this, but like it is coming from my mind, or maybe I
It's
just like I
coming
tell
from the
myself that,
mind, but remember, let us recall that what is Chidabhasa? Chidabhasa is nothing but the reflected consciousness getting connected to the mind and the body and getting into a position which is what is called as the aham akara or ahankara, and becoming separate from the rest. Ultimately, it is a reflected consciousness which has gotten into a Brahma state or a confusion state based on the reflection, because what it is seeing is only what is the sense organs and the mind is reflecting from senses. So at the end of the day, that is why the Viveka is being given to separate out. So far the Chidabhasa used to be connected or used to be conditioned, the Upadhi part used to be conditioned by the mind and the body.
Mm.
So that conditioning is what is getting removed,
Mm.
but the reflection is still continuing.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So therefore, in a way, who is the one who is saying that? The one who is saying is actually a fictional entity.
Mm.
Because in order to say something like that means what? See, the mind doesn't have the ability to say something by itself. Because mind is like another object.
Mm.
In what sense? It can store, it can retrieve. It's like a computer with a CPU, but without electricity, how can it even function?
Mm. Yeah, that part is clear. Yeah, the Atman is charged, is powering the mind,
Yeah.
and then once the mind is powered, um, all these all these actions or conversations is it driven from by the mind based on the vasanas, the desires, or not?
Yeah. See, any conversation means what? Any conversation means it's in a particular time and space. So what is mind? Mind operates only with objects, which means time and space is necessary. So yes, there are always going to be vasanas affecting any conversation,
Mm.
whatever may be the case. Yeah, so that's why even the truth told by gurus, there is one wonderful statement, Ekam Sat Vipraha Bahuda Vadanti. The truth is one, but the known say it in slightly different ways.
Mm.
Why? Because of the instrument, based on the impressions and based on the language and based on the circumstances and various other qualities of the mind that has been developed in that instrument.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So in that sense, the instrument of Sri Shankaracharya ji is different. The instrument of Ramana ji is different. Prabhuji is different. Same truth. They all point at the same truth, but using slightly different mechanisms. And what they communicate, how they communicate, the subject of the communication or the pointer of the communication is the same, but the approach of communication, see, today Prabhuji uses a lot of PPTs and pictures and
Based on the time and circumstance.
yeah, and that is a function of that instrument. No, see, that
Yeah.
mind has gone through technical education,
Mm.
whereas the mind of Ramanaji was much different.
Mm.
But ultimately, the inherent pointer and the inherent peace and silence is the same. The truth is the same.
That's fine. But now the question is, when you say I am not the body, mind, intellect, are you saying it is the reflected consciousness that is saying this and not the mind?
Yeah, because mind by itself cannot say anything.
So all the thoughts that come up,
Yeah.
is it in the level of the mind or uh,
So the thoughts are coming up like the way I give an analogy is, it is like, when you have a typical computer, right? Computer has something called as interrupts.
mm,
You would be aware. Let's say
mm,
when you click a mouse, when you click a button, there is a certain piece of software that goes to the CPU and it interrupts whatever is running and says, hey, look, so this has come. Then the main program that is running has to decide whether I will allow this interrupt to do something or not, or let it pass.
mm,
So I'm just moving the mouse on the screen. So I will not do anything on that. But I've clicked on something. Okay, now I need to interrupt something. And after that, I need to send a message to the main program, which needs to process this click. Is how a typical computer operates. But all of this cannot operate, cannot happen if there was no electricity. So now the electricity is the awareness. That has no association to either the mouse click or the button click or the program in the CPU, wherever. The reflected consciousness, the Chidabhasa, what we call as, has got wrongly associated with the program that is running. The program that is running, and the thoughts in the mind are nothing but the interrupts. So it is.
What generates the thought?
What generates the thoughts are nothing but.
Who brings up?
So thoughts themselves are nothing but, see, for example, for a little baby, sensations are coming from the world. You know, maybe there's a fan sound, somebody speaking sound. But in the mind of the baby, there are no interrupts because there is no associated information related to that sound. Say, for example, please come here by your daughter. That's also sensation. Ultimately, it's nothing but a sound. It's a sensation that is coming through the ear into the mind. But now, because there is historic information, oh, this sound belongs to my daughter. This is where she is asking for help. Like that, there is a chitta, the memory that operates, and that coupled with the sensation, it triggers the thought. That moment, the choice is with the actor to let that thought become an action or let that thought slide out.
Who decides that?
The decision is still
that guy who's going to act on it.
The decision is still you only, right? Like
so
in
that
meditation.
you here, who is that you? At what level? It's not the body. Is it the mind?
So
or is it, also one more thing I've seen, like, in all the places we don't bring Chidabhasa that much at all, right? We always talk about body, mind, intellect, and self, Atman.
Correct. But you know, when you go deeper into this, who is making all these choices? Who is asking all these questions? Who wants to get liberated? Who is that I? That I, where is that I? See, the very fact that, you know, I exist, no doubt at all. We hardly need any conversation about it. But who is asking the question? It is so elusive. So it's pointing to the fact that there is no fixed permanent reality that is asking this question. Based on the reflection, see, awareness as a reflection on the reflected surface becomes Chidabhasa. So Chidabhasa is the one which is now processing, which is allowing all this processing. It is powering all the processing. Now, Chidabhasa is not different from awareness. So it's only a for the time being, on the reflected surface, there is a confusion. There is a thought called confusion.
So we talk about this usually when things are done. We say that ego takes over that the action and claims that ego did it. Right? So are you saying this? It is actually done by the Chidabhasa, but the ego at the mind level is claiming it.
So now, okay, let's examine that. What is ego? Ahankara, aham akara. Who I am. Ahankara is, okay. So, and mamakara. Who I am and what are mine. Me and mine. are the things that together are ego. My body, my mind, my thought, my will, okay, or my car, my baby, are all mamakara, mine. Then you know who I am. So now you know who I am. When it is connected with the body and the concepts in the mind, it is operating at a world level. See what it is doing? It is saying that I am a mother and I am a father. I am a boss. I got hurt. When you examine, I got hurt. Who got hurt? Let's say somebody came and said, you're a lousy boss. I feel so sad. How can they call me a lousy boss? So who got hurt really? There's an idea called boss. And that idea of boss has been punctured. So which means that Chidabhasa is connected to the content of the mind. So what is stored in the mind? Somebody someday called you a boss. And now that memory, the chitta is triggering and there's a connection happening to that. And I have become boss. And now the I is working as if it's a boss. So there is a pin to that, lousy boss. And there is also a meaning connected to the word lousy. Lousy means stupid, idiot, not worthy. So therefore, it triggers next series of programs, again connected in the mind. If let's say all along in my life, when somebody is called stupid idiot, people have clapped and jumped up and down, then the program would be to clap and jump up and down. The moment, we have seen that stupid idiot, people get red-faced, start shouting. So then that is the program that has gone in. Oh, stupid idiot means this is the way to act.
Yeah, the mind checks with the chitta to see what is the knowledge about this word and how. Yeah, that I got it. Yes.
And see, as a baby, you can see
it doesn't know.
What they see is what they do. They are basically nothing but excellent copy machines. Okay. So which means that the chitta is developing. Then the buddhi is also developing. This is what we call as the mind. And in that, ahankara, you know who I am, and mamakara, you know what my things are. They are also developing. So when this develops, this Chidabhasa gets wrongly connected with this idea of who I am or what my things are. And there are programs that are in the mind about losing, gaining. Oh, mine has to be protected. Oh, I cannot be insulted. So the game of life happens. So therefore, in order to function in the world, ego is necessary. So what happens now through all this conversation and through the study of the Vedanta, through the Sadguru's guidance, what is happening? That sense of ego is loosening up. I am a stupid boss. It's okay. It's okay to be a stupid boss. Because the stupid is for the action. Stupid, you are lousy looking. Lousy looking is for the body. I am not the body. So the reflected consciousness, which is essentially powering the buddhi, is getting reprogrammed. So buddhi is getting reprogrammed now. Oh, I was wrongly connecting to this body and mind and getting affected. Okay, the other one is calling this body as lousy looking. Either maybe the other person's eyes are not working properly, or maybe in their mind, something about the way this appears is called as lousy. But like a scientist, there is no then emotions associated with it. It is a matter of how the whole process is happening. As a scientist, when you're examining, let's say, how urine is passed, you're not going to make faces. You're going to examine it in a very systematic way. And you're going to take samples of urine and examine that systematically. But there is no all that feelings are not associated, because you are detached from that. You're not attached to that, you're detached from that, and you're examining it like a neutral observer. Oh my God, there are so many things happening here. Kind of a very childlike curiosity is driving that. So that is when Chidabhasa has found the freedom to use the mind, but not be the mind. Meaning use the ego, but not be attached to the ego. Because in order to function in the world, you need to use the ego. You need to take a position of father, mother, servant, daughter, but knowing fully well that that is just for the time being. So the stronghold of ego, meaning who I am and what my things are, ahankara and mamakara used to drive the decisions of life. Now they loosen their grip. As necessary, use it. As needed, keep it away. So therefore, Chidabhasa has always been there. The glass on which it was reflecting was covered by the soot called ego. And just the soot is being removed. When the soot is removed, then and what is the surface on which it is reflecting? Oh, this mind has all these qualities. Then in those qualities, what needs to be picked? It's like when I want to write something, I pick this instrument. When I want to call somebody, I pick this instrument. I don't pick this instrument to take a pen and start writing. So I know when to use what. Like that, this mind, this body, the content of this mind, the abilities of this body is just made use of.
So Chidabhasa drives the day-to-day actions through the mind, and depending on the state of mind, they come out in whatever way it is.
Yeah. So decision maker is the buddhi. Okay. But buddhi is something that you develop over a period of time. As a baby, there was no buddhi, and you kept the hand in the fire and hand got burned. Then the buddhi develops that, that thing, that is glowing causes a sensation here or anywhere else. So I should not touch it. Now that buddhi has got developed. If that buddhi is not there, Chidabhasa is like electricity. Electricity has no discrimination. Wherever there is a path, it flows. So Atman has no discrimination. Atman has no raga dvesha. Atman has no judgments.
Yeah, that is clear. That is clear. Yeah.
It's like in iron rod, electricity can flow. In wood, electricity cannot flow. So therefore, it depends upon the resistance aspect of the material through which it is flowing. So the so-called mind is that resistance here. Because in order for the Chidabhasa to flow effortlessly, the idea called mind, based on what it has gathered, it becomes a resistance material.
So that means we still operate from the mind level only.
But only when you get connected to the content of the mind. It is like saying that when electricity is flowing through the wood, if at all electricity could speak and say that, oh, I am the wood now. That's so wrong, no? Oh, I am the iron rod now. It is neither.
It's not.
It is not.
The reason I'm asking this question is, see, for example, when I have to do an action, and it said there were two options. One is like dharmic path, and other is adharma. And that knowledge is there. And I consult the buddhi and says like, yes, you can do both, but this is the consequence, right? And then the mind decides, okay, I will do the dharmic way, though it's going to be tough, right? I do it. Now, if I'm doing all this at the mind level, now comes the question, well, I say, I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, I'm not this intellect. Is this still at the mind level? Because then it doesn't make sense. That is again, I'm coming back to the root of that discussion.
Yeah, it is reprogramming. See, the content of the mind was such that, and the buddhi was operating with the idea that this body and the content of the mind are mine. So, I am who I am this. Who I am, some label. That is the way the buddhi used to operate. All the decision faculty of the buddhi was using that program. So now when I am reprogramming, I am not the body, I am not the mind, that program is being cleaned up. It's like an antivirus.
Yeah, but the sayer has to be someone other than mind, right? To say that I am not the mind. It is my mind, but I am not the mind.
That is the I is intuitive. I is aparoksha. I is self-evident.
I feel this I keeps moving between different layers. When I say I am going to do this way, that the I is pointing at the mind level right now. Is that right?
So it's like that electricity getting focused through that instrument, and in that instrument, whatever the quality of that instrument, it picks up, and electricity itself has no judgment. Whatever is the quality of that instrument, that comes out as action.
But the electricity can never say that I'm not the fan, I'm not the light.
Because there is no need for electricity to say I am not the fan.
But when we say this, when I recite this, right, I am not the body, I am not the mind. It is still happening at the mind level, right? Because electricity, at the electricity level, it cannot say. The fan is saying I'm not the fan. But then, like, how is it?
Exactly. That is why the whole part of sadhana, right? So there has to be a doer for the sadhana. There has to be someone who is doing. As long as that fictional doer is there, oh, I have to do spiritual sadhana, I have to live dharmic way, I have to do, because the fictional seeker or the fictional questioner has a certain boundary. Oh, if I do this, this happens. So that fictional doer actually is the real Maya Mruga. Is a real non-existent I. There is no basis for that fictional doer.
You cannot go to that fictional doer level. So I think then it comes to, at that time it comes to can I say paroksha, that there is this I beyond this mind. I'm going to now, when I'm going to study this, when I'm going or like when I'm going to say this, I'm going to say from that level, because the mind, because of the three states we go through every day, that there is this guy, there is this I, right? But I cannot actually go to that level to say that I is always there, but like all my talking, all my thinking is at the mind level only. I cannot go beyond mind. The moment if I can go beyond mind, then the whole thinking stops. That's what I think will happen.
Yeah, see, again, all these are thoughts based on the
Thoughts.
collection of information in this instrument.
Paroksha knowledge.
Yeah.
Can I say paroksha knowledge?
Yeah. So see, a lot of reading, a lot of hearing, all of that is causing all this conditioning. It's also upadhi. But it's a better upadhi. It's like an antivirus is also a program, no? A program, an application is a program. A Word or Excel, PPT is a program. An antivirus which protects the computer is also a program. So this is also a program. But this program allows you to drop the connection to the programs and just be. Because the moment I have to explain anything,
I have to come down.
I have to come down. And the only faculty is the instrument. And the limitations of the instrument.
Limitations of the instrument too. I agree.
Yeah. So therefore, all the spiritual knowledge is a pointer. Is a pointer.
Okay. So then I can say that when I say I'm not the body mind, the mind itself is saying that I is not me, that I is beyond me.
So just yeah, because that even that repetition, no, even that repetition, I am not the body, I am not the mind. So somebody else is saying that. So meaning what? That fictional ego, no, which was connected to the body and the mind, is being reprogrammed. Which was looking down, is being reprogrammed. And when it is completely reprogrammed, if that reprogram is successful, that fictional I is no more necessary. That fictional I, there is no origin, there is no existence for that fictional I. Where is it? There is no I.
Where is it? I didn't get this.
Where is that sense of I? What is the place? If you have to say it is there, it must be there somewhere. What you have?
Because for that to say, the mind has to come up. But if the mind has become silent, then like that I is not going to come down.
In the silent, in that silence, state of silence, there is no need to reflect on I.
Correct. Yeah.
So the questioner, the one who is questioning the origin of the ego, the one who is questioning where is this ego, is the ego itself. That ego was so far questioning about some outside world, why I got, what I did not get. Now that questioner is questioning about the origin of the ego, but that's also a play of the ego.
Yeah. Consciously the ego is saying, oh, okay, you want to have a discussion of me. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's why, there's a wonderful picture given, which is like a totally mind-blowing picture. There's a serpent which is swallowing its own tail.
Yeah.
So as it actually consumes, who is it consuming?
Itself. Okay. And then the question is like, how can I consume itself?
Because the ego will continue to give us questions. Ego will continue to push the goalpost. It is there. It is there. Do this. You will get it. Okay. So all this doing is always in the domain of the mind. And the simple pointer of Vedanta is, you are beyond the domain of the mind.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you go through that in depth, if you're beyond the domain of the mind, then all this conversation is only to clarify that suit, so that you can see. It is not that you have to clean the entire window. You clean enough to know what it is, because the suit, if it was deep and if it was too deep, it was not helping the vision. The moment the vision occurs, then you are aware of the suit. As necessary, you clean and you use. This instrument, I've kept it somewhere and I have not written for many days. I take a pen and it is not writing. I scratch somewhere, then it starts flowing. Then I start writing. This instrument, is not charged, fully discharged. Then I put it into a pin and charge it. Oh, now it is 5%. Let me use it. But now I've become clearly aware what this can do, what this can do. Then there is no more strong attachment.
There is in one of the next sessions, Guruji talks about the awareness, where he says that we have awareness of only ourselves 100%.
Yeah.
And like it's never that like I can say that I'm 100%. I have the 100% awareness of what I see, the object.
Yeah.
Let's say a flower I see.
Yeah.
Okay. It is in my mind that what I see, that thing, it's like yellow in color. It has this shape. But then I can never say what it is because I'm using an instrument to judge. And the instrument has its own limitations, and within the limitations only it is getting projected, which applies to anyone else outside me as well. If somebody says Saravanan is this, using their instrument within the limitations of the instrument, based on the programming, they are seeing what Saravanan is, and they can never get 100% clear knowledge of Saravanan. Right? I can only have 100% knowledge of me, and that's it. And beyond me,
and that me is also not. See, even for you, Saravanan is not fully known, because even for you, Saravanan is another object.
Yeah, correct. Because when I point to that body, do I know the body? Do I know how it is functioning? What is happening? And like, no, I don't have. So even the body
all
of
the impressions in the mind, even the mind is not fully known.
Correct. So only that self-awareness, coming back to the same thing, are you there? I am there. That only the awareness is 100%. I am there. There is no doubt. Is your mind, how is your mind? I cannot say, in the sense like it is just a state of that, and which is changing, and it is outside me. And this is the only clearly unchanging one, that I am. Right? Anything outside this I am, it is continuously changing. And if I say that I am I am like this, it is only like this now. Will it be like this later? Changed. Right? So the way I was picturizing is like it's the Jagat is this, like where all these objects are there, including my own body, mind is there, and I am outside this and like watching the whole Jagat. And like I'm watching this body, through this body I'm watching the Jagat, right? And this body is also part of the Jagat, right? And I think in some later part when he talks, I think the whole Prakriti is taking care of it. It is doing its job. Okay, and the problem is when I try to say that like I am unique, I am different from the other, like which is basically going against the actual thing that it is one. The Prakriti is one, right? It's like in our software terms, uh, my body is a client, and the Prakriti is the server. The client cannot say that I disagree with the server. Okay, I am better than you. I can, the client can never say, which means you are going to have problem all the time. It has to work in sync to be right to finally work. Otherwise, it will be always broken. And that's what I see, that the entire problem is because everyone wants to be better than the other, or like wants to say I am unique because of so and so, right? But the problem is because like you are trying to separate out from the jagat, but it is part.
However,
Hmm.
each instrument, each body mind is unique. That is true. See, each leaf is unique. That is true.
Yeah, the flower is there, stone is there, this body is there, the animal is there. Even within animals, everything is different.
And the
But
only difference is when the awareness is flowing through this instrument called human body and mind, it has the potential to do things and bring about a particular creative output. At the end of the day, everything is a creative expression of the divine. So who we call as divine here, for the sake of our understanding, as an ego, who am I calling as the divine? I'm calling the divine as this awareness. This awareness is divine. Why? Because as we saw just now, there is no judgment in the awareness. It's pure. It's uncontaminated. It is ever flowing. And when it operates through an instrument, each instrument brings out its own inherent beauty. A flower brings out its inherent beauty. This instrument, for it to bring out its inherent beauty, there is all this connection to the ego, that is ahankara and mamakara, has to be kept aside. Then only this instrument will become like a pleasant flower.
Yeah. Somewhere I heard this. When you use a pen, the pen cannot have its own intelligence.
Yeah.
The pen has to be pure and like transparent. Only then it can let the writer's knowledge to come out of its point, right?
Yeah.
If the pen decides to have its own knowledge, then like there can never be a clear output. So
Yeah.
like that, if I can keep this body that transparent like a pen,
Yeah.
and let the self run through this,
Yeah.
then the output will be of the divine.
Yeah. See, that is why Krishna's instrument is a flute.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So in the buddhi, there is Krishna's intelligence, and the ahankara is that hollow flute. Is not resisting Krishna's energy to flow. So the program of ahankara and mamakara has been replaced by Krishna's intelligence, and now that ahankara and mamakara has expanded to include everything, including this body, mind, and every other objects. So then there is no separation. See, there are only two ways. One is completely dropping and annihilating everything, including this mind and body. Another one is to completely include everything, to realize the essential nature. But then these are not two different things. They are like two sides of the same coin in a way. Like how Guruji keeps saying, no, Aham Brahmasmi, and Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma are not two statements actually. They are one and the same.
Yeah, that statement, the way I understood, I could visualize is at the mind level again. I have to keep telling this because I keep telling myself like whatever I'm talking or interpreting is at the mind level again, right?
Yeah, because the discussion has to happen at the mind level. Discussion has to happen through the instrument.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's all about reconditioning the instrument.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like Sarvam, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma and Aham Brahmasmi. The way it is like when I wake up, okay, the whole world comes in my awareness, okay, which means like there is nothing outside my awareness. So and like the I comes up and like everything else is there.
Can
Right?
I just make one small correction there? There is no when the whole world comes in. Every moment, please see, the whole world is appearing in the awareness only for you. So there has never been any time where the world has been outside of you. The outside of you was in the context of when I got connected to the mind and body, when I got connected to the instrument.
So when I say outside, maybe I will use the term differently. As Guruji says, Jagat Jayati Gachati, like appears and disappears.
Yeah.
So when I close my eyes, go to sleep, the world disappeared.
Again, this is being said in the context of a body. No, the body is saying, I close my eyes and the world disappeared.
And so then the world appears.
So therefore, what is the idea? I am the body. That is not the case, no. What appears and disappears, even this body is appearing and disappearing.
In my awareness, yeah. Right? And awareness level, the whole body and the Jagat, which is there, I would say like body is part of the Jagat.
That's all.
Yeah.
So everything is Jagat.
Yeah.
For the sake of understanding. But there is no separation. Actually, there cannot be a separation.
Yeah. So the thing is, it's very actually that part because of the novice mind, it thinks that like it controls, but then when the sun shines, then the whole thing is lighted. Okay, and including the body and other things. Okay, so it is definitely, it has to be one, right? As you saw that the weather changed, like I didn't do anything. I can't do anything as well. The weather changes, the body also changed, right? Because which means like they are all working together actually. The whole Jagat, including this body, is working together, and like they change, go through the changes together. If I try to fight, saying that no, I want to be separate, then clearly the problem starts there. Right.
Yeah.
So I think that
excellent point. The friction is what causes the instrument to develop different pains, sufferings. The instrument has developed because of the friction offered by the ego.
The interpreter. Okay, the interpreter is like not ready to accept. Then like because of the ignorance, the interpreter is saying, I'm different, and like it can be outside, can be anything, but I am going to be like this. There clearly I can see the problem starting.
Yeah, I have to be protected, and the limited understanding that this has to be protected, and then doesn't matter, the other person is dying, it doesn't matter. So then there is an inherent confusion or inherent ignorance that have seeded, and that emerges as various problems of life.
Yeah, that is a beautiful point on the Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, and how things appear in the consciousness, and like including this body mind. Yeah. Coming back to that question where you started again. Aparoksha. Can we? I want to revisit it again. Can you
Yeah.
bring up the question now?
Yeah, so the question was, there is actually only aparoksha. And paroksha, anumana, pratyaksha are all because of the development of the mind.
Yeah, obviously, paroksha, anumana, or pratyaksha are at the mind level, right? The mind is using the sense organs, then it's pratyaksha. The mind using its chitta, buddhi, and like infers anumana, and the mind is the one that is believing paroksha, right? So when you are looking at the seeker is still at the mind level, then the seeker knows only paroksha, anumana, pratyaksha. Then we are telling the seeker that, hey, how about this? How about you? You know your existence.
Yeah.
Yes. Then like that is what I'm going to introduce a new thing called aparoksha.
So
Like,
the teaching is only to the ego.
Seeker.
All
Yeah.
the teaching is only to the ego.
Yeah, always the whole discussion is for the ego, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is at the ego level that we are trying to convince to recondition to eat itself so that there is silence. Once it eats itself, then there is back. It's silent.
Because ego cannot be converted by force of outside any force.
Correct.
It has to, like the tail that is the serpent eating itself. Only that is the way.
Only it can. Yes, correct. Only it can terminate its own self. If you try to
in
terminate
a way,
from
only
outside,
it can terminate also becomes a statement from the ego only.
Or it can become quiet. Right. Or the result is the quiet silence.
Deep, inherent, peaceful silence is the only indication, and there is no need to express or explain or discuss that.
Because all those things requires the ego to come up. To right the moment, okay, can you justify? Then like it has to wake up to do the whole thing. Or maybe like as they say, a jnani uses the ego as a garland or
as an ornament,
as a tool.
So
because otherwise the jnani is going to be completely silent all the time. And
there is no conversation at all.
That's of no use to the society. That's what Guruji says, right? So there is a purpose why the ego. It is just that the ego changes its function from being the driver, like to being used, right? Okay. Yeah. Good discussion on approach and yeah. So just to conclude that, like I noted that like we are like used to rely on the three ways, right? And the question from this session is like, why do you have to rely on the knowledge from external and not the direct knowledge? Focus on that.
You are.
Yeah, but we are used to Google. So the Google has highlighted it more and more to the extent that like you don't need to know who you are. Like I will tell you. And Google and Facebook and Instagram now like this is Saravanan, and then like and like I think the direct is being because the direct is not revenue generating, not glamorous.
Because anything at the world level is always at the mind level.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. It's not about running away from it, but becoming aware that is the level at which. That's why in one of his Gita talks, Prabhuji gave an excellent insight. When people try to solve say psychological issue, they go to a psychiatrist. But a psychiatrist is only operating at the mind level.
Correct.
So therefore, everything will be about doing something, about analyzing something, and about finding the cause and effect. So it's still an operation at the mind level. Like, for example, if there is a pain in the body, the mind has to be used to know, oh, is it a something that is pricking here? I just need to move it out. Or maybe something came and bit, that's why there is a pain. And if I put some ghee, it will go away. Like that, mind, which is above the body, has to be used. So only a kind of a third party who is not in that situation can come and solve the problem. If let's say there's a fighting happening between two people and they are not able to agree with each other, a third party has to be there. So like that, to solve the problem of the mind, we cannot employ mind itself.
External mind.
No,
Even external
to
mind.
solve the problem of the mind, because who I am, I feel sad, I am depressed, all that is at the mind. I cannot again employ my own mind.
Okay.
Because the mind is still conditioned.
Yeah.
And when I go to a psychiatrist, that's another mind speaking to another mind. So that's why only Sadguru is the pathway to liberation when it is said, meaning what? Because the Sadguru is no more speaking from the mind standpoint.
Yes.
Sadguru is just for the sake of our understanding, is at an elevated spot which is beyond the mind, and takes us also there as an ego and shows, oh, there is something called as a mind, and then once again gently leaves us so that we can work upwards to clean and be one with the Sadguru. Because Sadguru is no different from me.
At that level, yes.
But the ego has created, there is Sadguru, there is me. So therefore, this me has to be one.
The differentiator is always the ego.
Yeah.
The ego is always trying to see, like, how am I different?
Yeah.
It is him, it is me. So when obviously the ego gets quiet, then like we are seeing as one, and like somebody has to take that ego to that level of quietness.
It is like many examples Prabhuji gives now. When someone is very involved in an activity, there is no concept of time and space and doership. Yes. It is just a whole activity that is just flowing. And then, the program kicks in and then it breaks and then, oh, I was doing this. Oh, what a wonderful thing I've created.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Because if the ego is involved, their action cannot be done. Only the ego can stand up after that action is done and to claim it.
All right. So shall we end our today's
okay.
We in terms of our discussion, we only were able to focus on one talk.
Yeah, but it's good on
right.
This question I've been having every day, but somehow the Chidabhasha thing was not coming up to me, because we don't use that, even that identity that often. The word, we don't use it. We always only talk about Atman, Brahman, mind, body, intellect, right? So my contemplation was around these terms, like who is telling, but I think with this knowledge, the contemplation will now continue. It's good.
Okay. So shall we? We'll end with the prayer. I'll bring up the prayer.
Right seeking. Om Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead me from untruth to truth, darkness to light, impermanence to permanence. Self is the whole. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, that is complete. This is complete. When completeness is removed from completeness, what remains is complete. When completeness is added to completeness, totality remains complete. Om, peace, peace, peace. Who am I? ನಾನು ನಾನೆಂಬುದು ನಾನಲ್ಲ ಈ ದೇಹ ಮನ ಬುದ್ಧಿ ನಾನಲ್ಲ ಸಚಿದಾನಂದಾತ್ಮ ಶಿವನಾನು ನಾನೇ ಶಿವೋಹಂ ಶಿವೋಹಂ ಶಿವೋಹಂ. I'm not the body, mind, intellect. I'm the pure consciousness, Swarupi. And true self is liberation. Atmadarshanam, Brahmadarshanam, Brahmadarshanam, Satyadarshanam. Recognition of self is recognition of the whole. Recognition of the whole is the truth. May all be free from suffering. Om Triyambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarkamiva Bandhanat Mrityurmukshiyamamritat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarkamiva Bandhanat Mrityurmukshiyamamritat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarkamiva Bandhanat Mrityurmukshiyamamritat. We worship the three-eyed one who is fragrant and who nourishes all. Like the fruit falls off from the bondage of the stem, may we be liberated from death, from immortality. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. May all beings be happy, healthy, and peaceful. And
Thank you very much, Sharananji.
thank you.
Thank you.
Good discussion today.
Hari Om.